Hi, I'm Kevin Brown with the State Census Committee, the State of Iowa Census Committee, and I'm here today in Spencer, Iowa, and I've got Theresa and Amanda with me today, and we're going to talk a little bit about where the census is at here in Spencer and Clay County, and I'll touch a little bit about some surrounding counties too, but the important thing to note is Iowa historically has been very good at the initial response rate, which is basically when the thing shows up in the mail, Iowans fill it out and send it back right away, and we have that data, and we'll talk a little later about the importance of the data. But in 2010, we finished up third place in the initial response rate. In 2000, we were number 2. And so right now, I bring this up because right now we're number 4, and we're tied with Nebraska. It's all Midwestern states that are in the top 5, and so our goal obviously is to get to number 1 this year. But here in Clay County out of the 99 counties is ranked number 55 in that initial response rate. And that's the really important number right now, the initial response rate. If you haven't filled it out yet, fill it out. Very simple. But Spencer is 303 out of the 900 and some communities in the state. And so we thought it'd be a good idea to come on and talk about the importance of, why the initial response rate is so important, why the census in general is important, and what you can do to be a part of it, because outside of filling out the census, there's also some employment opportunities. So from now until the end of October, from August 11th through the end of October, there's going to be people coming around the community knocking on your door if you haven't filled it out yet. If they don't have any information from your address, there's going to be someone that's going to come to your house. They have not filled all those positions yet. So if you're in need of employment, that's another opportunity that you have as a citizen to be an employee of the census. But from August 11th through October 31st, the folks will be out knocking on doors and making sure that census is complete. The big thing that we've changed this year as far as the census goes, they've allowed us to take it online, which is the first time that we've been able to do that. However, there's maybe some people out there that don't have easy access to the internet or don't like to be on the internet or maybe don't have a smartphone or anything that would allow them to fill it out on the internet. They've created a phone line for that. And so the biggest push right now is calling that number. That's the quickest way. I mean, obviously online is the fastest way, but besides that, the phone number that they put out puts you in touch with a live voice. So if you have questions or concerns about the census and the safety of it, we could sit up here all day and talk about how safe it is to fill out this census and how important that data is, but to talk to someone live with the Federal Census Bureau, you could call the number and fill it out in less than 5 minutes. It's very painless, very simple. And just for your information, the number is 844-330-2020.
Yeah, so it's really important for communities across the country. We receive a lot of our state and federal funding for different types of projects based on our population. So specifically, our road use tax is determined by population. We use those dollars for road repair projects throughout the year, infrastructure matters. There's also community development block grants, which the city of Spencer has been fortunate to receive several of those over the last several years that help buy down the cost of projects, both from an infrastructure perspective, and we also use CDBG funding for housing matters. So it's really important for citizens of Spencer as it relates to the services that they receive from the city of Spencer to fill out the census and make sure that you're counted here. Also, it's just really important to have accurate numbers when we're talking about different initiatives. For example, and this is minor, but retail recruitment. So several large retailers look at your population when making determinations on where they want to locate. And when we have accurate numbers, not just in the city of Spencer, but in our county and in our region, it assists with those conversations and gives those retailers some really good data to make sure that they're making sound decisions as well.
One thing to add to that, when we're talking funding coming our way, they've figured it out that it's about $1,700 per Iowan per year that we receive in funding. And so if you don't fill it out, that's $1,700 per year per Iowan that we don't get. And so if you add that up over the course of the 10 years worth of data that they pull from the census, that's $17,000 just from one person not filling it out. And so that's another thing to really keep in mind from a funding standpoint. And then the other things, there's several things that people use that data for, and one of them is the political districting that happens, whether it's a city council district or a county supervisor district in some counties, or even our state representatives and senators, and even our federal representatives in Congress. Well, because of the implications that go along with COVID-19, things in the timeline have been pushed back a bit. And so I'd mentioned the August 11th date for the door knocking. That finishes up on Halloween, and that is when they want this initial response finished, is Halloween.
If folks are interested in working for the census, they have different types of jobs. They have door-to-door jobs, and they also have some jobs where you would just need to have access to a computer, and they would provide the training. We received word that in Clay County, the pay per hour is between $17.50 and $19.50 per hour for census workers. And if you're interested in applying, you just go on to the census website, 2020census.gov/jobs, and they would be able to help you out. And then also, many of us work with Iowa Workforce Development. They have an office here in Spencer. They're also helping with the recruitment process for the census jobs. Thanks.
Well, in relation to the COVID-19 and the pandemic and the things that have happened in our world since then, or in our country, I should say, folks are always asking, how can I help our emergency support personnel, whether it's police officers, firefighters, ambulance, anybody in those lines of work. One way you can help them out very easily is to fill out the census, because their funding comes from the same things that we've been talking about here today.